Good day, everyone. Welcome again to another edition of Fayette Focus. Harry Wright with you today, my guest, and I am so happy to have them in the studio with me. Always look forward to talking to the Timmons brothers. Dave and John, how are you guys?
Doing fine, Harry. Ready to rock and roll.
Excellent, excellent. Now, John, how was the trip up from the south?
Yes, I just drove in yesterday, Harry, and it was a great, beautiful day to drive, and it's great to be back in the studio meeting with you live. Last year we had to do this from South Carolina.
Yeah, I got to see Dave, but I didn't get to see you. You were down south. Now, tell everyone a little bit of some background about yourself, John. What is it that you do?
Okay, I work at a university in South Carolina, which is Winthrop University. It's located in Rock Hill. And I teach courses that are in rock culture. I've done a course on the 1960s rock and roll, and I've done another symposium on the Beatles. And currently I am working on possibly developing another class about the 70s, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Well, that would be disco. We can put
I
that.
agree.
We can put that in the last two categories there: the bad and the ugly. There's nothing good about disco. Thank you very much. And Dave and I are on the same page,
Yes,
aren't we?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Harry.
that's something that I'm trying to been blocked out of my memory. And
no Bee Gees.
no, thank you. No, thank you. Now, but now you guys do this rock and roll trivia thing. Now, this is the 7th time that you've been here in the area. You've been up Mount Sterling at the Let Freedom Ring Festival at the community center there in Mount Sterling. And tell us, Dave, tell us a little bit about the show.
Oh, the show is a mixture of, I'd call it a mixture of Jeopardy, a mixture of Dan Roran's Laugh-In, and the Smothers Brothers and rock and roll history. We try to make it so entertaining. When we make a show, like John says, don't give me the center stage too long, because I will take over the show. But we have made a lot of new friends this, and we established this as a game show, but it's not more than a game show. We say it's a chance to test your rock and roll knowledge and also your history of rock and roll. John and I will always tell little tidbits, like we might have a trivia question, but then we'll add a little bit of history, what happened to that group member or something. And then on my own part, which I always have, is my sing-alongs. And I think sometimes the fans want to sing along so they don't have to hear me. So, but the point of it is, it has grown by leaps and bounds, and I can't believe it's been that many years. But I can tell by my gray hairs it has too. But
Now,
it's been a lot of fun.
This is one of the rare appearances that you guys do in Ohio.
Yes.
Because basically you're too busy doing it down south for
yes.
huge audiences down south.
Oh, it's amazing the crowds we have down there, Harry. We played before as many as 300, 400 people at a time, and down there it's so. The young college kids get so into this, and then that gets me pumped up, and then I have sore muscles for about 2 days afterwards.
I just had a daughter recently graduate college, and believe it or not, the thing that's hot on campus right now is 80s. The 80s rock stuff is hot on campus right now. So you'll go on campus and you'll see someone walking singing along to a Journey song or Styx or Van Halen or something like that from the 80s, and that's that's kind of cool, because the 80s, I can relate. The 80s were so much better than the 70s. They really were. I in case you can't tell, folks, I am just so anti-disco. It just, I mean, that is, to call it music is almost an embarrassment to
No jive
music.
talking for Harry.
No jive talking for Harry. But I did get a chance for the first time ever to go see your show last year, and what a hoot. The questions are good. The questions are tough. And some of the prizes that you gave away, you're giving away some pretty sweet 45s.
And I want to say that that's really, we need to owe that to the Mount Sterling Public Library and to the director, which is Mr. Chris Siscoe, who really does a great job working with us and gives us the opportunity to showcase it. And really, it's the only show that we really do for free admission. Yeah. All the other shows, people at the college campuses, for like Parents Weekend or Homecoming, there's usually a $5, $10 fee to see the show. So that's why I encourage people on Saturday, June 27th, to come to Mount Sterling and see us free there at the Mount Sterling Community Center.
So not only is it a rare north of the Mason-Dixon line appearance, it's free, which is absolutely rare.
Well, it's a chance to the hometown boys. Like I said, it gives us a chance to come work together. Like I said, when John and I were in Razor's Edge together, when we had our band together with the others, I said it always feels good though. John and I. We're just, we're like Lennon and McCartney. We work good as a team. They said, what it is, we can paint hand off each other. Like if John does one thing, I can do the opposite. But it's so fun working with him. When you're working with your brother, though, it's always a three-ring circus.
That was one of the things that I really liked about the show, though, was you had the nice brother banner back and forth, made it very interesting. And that's just not just like watching Jeopardy. You're there, you get to be a part of it. It's very much audience participation. And it's a chance for people to show off their musical minutia that they have in their brain.
Yeah, we were so pleased that you were able to see us perform last year, Harry, because sometimes we can convey on this show what it's like, but you really need to experience it. And it's sort of like one of those things you just have to be there to really get the full effect. And the audience interaction is tremendous. If people just want to come and watch and just take it in, entertainment, they can do that too. So when people come to our show, there's no pressure to answer a question. We don't call on anyone unless they volunteer to give an answer. So we're not there to embarrass or to humble anyone. We're there just to have fun, and maybe along the way we might actually learn some things.
You know, I actually got a question right last year. It was the answer was Tina Turner, and I knew that one, and that was from the '80s, though, folks. That wasn't Tina Turner from the 60s.
There was an elderly couple that comes, and they're both in their mid-70s, and they come just to hear the music. When they come, they say they love to hear the music, and they said they come just to sit back, and they said they love to watch the audience. I said, well, everybody loves what they want. They said, what'll happen in that audience? And they said, well, wherever you boys are there, and I'm glad they can call us boys, I guess, but we enjoy performing for everybody, and sometimes I told John it makes me feel so good that something that we dreamed up in our heads would kick off like it did in through small crowds and get as big as it has, which we got to see a lot of the country and stuff through this.
Now, if you need more information about the Timmons brothers, folks, you can always go to their website, www.timmonsrock.com, and find out more about the Timmons brothers. This event is free of charge. It's going to be on Saturday, the 27th of June. It's at the Let Freedom Ring Festival there in Mount Sterling. The public is invited. That's you. It's the Mount Sterling Community Center, 164 East Main Street in Mount Sterling. It starts at 1 p.m., and it usually lasts a couple hours, doesn't it, guys?
Yes.
And can you give us a tidbit, maybe? What's one of the questions?
I think some of the things we're going to do, we're going to call it the dance craze. So I don't know how you're going to feel about this one, Harry. It's going to go through the decades of famous dance crazes.
And you don't like disco.
And what they were. But, and I know we think of disco in the 70s, but for instance, you think of the 1960s, early 60s, and I'm going to give you a name, and you tell me what was the dance. Chubby Checker.
The twist.
You got it.
Or the peppermint twist.
Or the peppermint twist. Exactly.
You got Man of 45.
Exactly. To be honest with you, I've got Chubby Checker the twist on 45 at my house.
Very good.
And the peppermint twist as well.
Peppermint twist.
So, Chubby Checker, he was, come on, baby, let's do the twist. And I can do the twist, but then I have to do the chiropractor. So I specialize in break dancing. Every time I dance, I break something.
You break something?
Yes, I did. I break something.
Harry, the same thing happened to me. We was doing a show in Carolina, and John says, don't get carried away, Dave. When they was doing Do the Freddy, which was a common British invasion. Well, I did the Freddy all right, and I turned and told John, I whispered his ear, I said, I think I pulled a muscle.
Pulled a muscle, yes, into Freddy, I know. So, folks, if you know music, if you like music, if you're interested in all, it's rock and roll trivia from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. They got audio stumpers, all kinds of stuff, and prizes. Once again, that's at the Mount Sterling Community Center, 164 East Main Street, Saturday, June 27th, starting at 1 p.m. You can check these guys out on www.timmonsrock.com. Anything else you have for our listeners, guys?
I want them to come and see us. I said, you don't realize what it is. As John Lennon says, it'll be a splendid time for all.
And I just want to say for the viewers, I'm wearing my Paul Revere Narrator shirt in honor of Paul Revere, who passed away in October. And
it's autographed, I see.
And it's actually autographed by himself, Paul Revere, so I'm very proud of this. If people go to our website, on the press tab, we do a series of shows through Blog Talk Radio on different topics. We're doing a 2-part series right now on the history of Paul Revere Narrators.
So my guest today on Fay Focus, always glad to have him in. I wish I could see him more than just once a year, but it's Dave and John Timmons, the Timmons brothers, folks. That website again is www.timmonsrock.com. My guest on Fay Focus. Guys, thank you for coming in.
I had a good time, Harry.
Appreciate it so much, Harry.
Good day, everyone. Welcome again to another edition of Fayette Focus. Harry Wright with you today. My guests from Fayette Progressive Schools. We have two. We happen to have Tim Stewart. How are you today, Tim?
I'm doing well, Harry. How are you?
Wonderful, Tim. And we have Elisabeth Brady. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Wonderful, Tim. You're here to talk today about something that's kind of cool at the end of every school year. It's a nice big dance to go to. Tell us about it.
Yes, sir. This year at Fayette Progressive Industries, we're doing a gala ball. It's the first time we've ever done anything like this at Fayette Progressive Industries. It's for adults with disabilities. And really, it's for the opportunity of anybody that's never been able to really go to a prom before in school or anything like that. This gives them a chance to get dresses, get suits, get dates, and go out and kind of enjoy themselves for the first time.
Well, you know, at any school, prom is always a big thing. It's kind of like at the end of the year. It's a nice kind of wrap up to everything that's gone on in the year. Plus, you get to dress up and go to a ball and have a pretty good time. I'm sure that the ladies really like the idea of the ball because they can get all dressed up and go. And the guys, we like to go and hang out with nice looking girls and dressed up and then dance, and it's a lot of fun.
Yep. Absolutely. Every lady wants to be a princess for one night in her life.
I'm going to ask you to lean into the mic a little more when you're talking, Elisabeth. Now,
Okay.
Your part in all of this is?
I'm a parent. My daughter is one of the adults that goes to Fayette Progressive Industries, and like many other people like her, she has never had that opportunity in her life. To have that night where you get to get all dressed up and have your special date and dance and socialize in a safe and accepting atmosphere.
Being the parent of a student at Fayette Progressive, tell us a little bit about how much Fayette Progressive Industries, Fayette Progressive Schools means to you.
They have made a huge difference in our lives. Mandy loves to go to Fayette Progressive Industries. She has her own best friends. They share lunch together and giggles together. They go on community trips, which she absolutely loves, and that's given her an opportunity to go many places that she may have not otherwise gone to. And also to socialize and have friends that can relate to her and share the same lifestyle she does.
Now, Tim, that's got to be very gratifying for you and the staff there at Fayette Progressive, because isn't that what you're all about?
Yes, sir.
You want to show they're just people. I mean, really, and what great people they really are. My buddy, I got to give a shout out to Corey Patton. He's calling me again. There's a wrestling event coming up, and I'm his hookup for tickets. But what a great young man. And that young man, throughout the years, he got me into bowling. Mm-hmm. He's one of my best pals, and they're great, fantastic people. The people that come here and work at the station, some of the best people I've ever worked with. And they're very polite and they're courteous and they're so afraid. They're like, no one wants to touch the board. I mean, it's so funny because like you can go ahead and touch it. It's not going to hurt anything. And they clean it very carefully. And it's just great. They're wonderful people to be around. And now you're looking for some things to happen so this dance can happen.
Yeah, we're looking for any type of donations of dresses. Maybe people don't have prom dresses, can't afford to go out and just buy dresses. So if anybody would like to donate any dresses, button-up shirts, dress pants, dress shoes, ties, anything like that, they can drop off at Fayette Progressive Industries anytime between the hours of 8:30 and 3:30.
8:30 and 3:30 Monday through Friday.
Correct.
And so just drop them off there. Or is there a contact number that they can get a hold of you if they need more information?
They can call Fayette Progressive Industries at 740-335-7453.
How's the basketball team doing?
The basketball team is done and over. They got eliminated in the tournament, unfortunately, pretty early. So
there's always next year.
Always next year. And I've actually got some of the athletes that played on the basketball team that are already have told me they're training, going out and running, playing basketball every day to try to get better. So they really want that state title.
They're going for it. There you go. They really want that state title. And as a mom of someone, isn't it nice to have choices like that? I mean, we try to make them think that they're just like everybody else, but from your experience that there's difficulties that are involved. But here, Fayette Progressive kind of just takes all that away.
Absolutely. That's their place. They're accepted.
Yes, they're not just accepted, but very productive.
Very productive, active members of the community. They love to go places. They love to socialize. My daughter and I see them out and about all over town.
Wonderful. So, folks, if you can, if there's anything that you can do for Fayette Progressive, they're having a ball coming up. If you have a suit, or if you have a tux, or if you have a prom dress that you don't need anymore, see to it that maybe you can get it out to Fayette Progressive and they can use it this year for their ball. Tim, anything you'd like to add for our listeners?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right, folks. My guest today on Fayette Focus has been Tim Stewart and Elisabeth Brady, both with Fayette Progressive Industries here and Fayette Progressive School here in Fayette County. My thanks to you both.
Thanks,
Thank
Harry.
you.
Good day, everyone. Welcome again to another edition of Fayette Focus. Harry Wright with you today. My guest from the Mount Sterling Library, we've got Chris Siscoe. Chris, how are you today?
Fine. Thanks for having me back, Harry.
All right, Chris. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Mount Sterling Library and the things that are going on.
Well, we are getting ready to kick off the summer reading program for 2015. Starts June 1st to July 31st. Anyone's allowed to participate. We basically have people read 10 books or listen to 10 audiobooks, and they keep track of it on their reading log. They turn that in. And then for adults, and at the end of the program, they're entered into a drawing for a Ben and Joy's gift certificate. Then the kids get coupon prizes. There's several businesses here in Washington Courthouse and Mount Sterling, that such as Roller Haven and the bowling alley here,
Right.
Layla Lanes. They're all participating and sponsoring. So we have coupon prizes both for adults and children.
Sounds like a fun time. And 10 books, that's not too much to read in 90 days.
No, I don't think so.
No, you get a
Yeah.
book every 9 days.
Actually, it only goes to July 31st, so 60 days.
Well, 60 days, so you got to read a little harder. But now, what age groups are you looking for?
We take all age groups, and if the kids aren't reading yet, we want them to still participate. So if the parents bring their kids to story time, those books count, or if they read to the kids, they count. That way the whole family can participate. And we had 87 people participate last year.
You'd like to have 100 this year, though, wouldn't you?
I would. I was being optimistic. I asked all our sponsors for 100 coupons.
There you go. Very good. Now, give us a little bit of the advantages to reading to your child.
Well, the studies have shown that reading to a child at an early age not only leads to a life of reading, but also it seems to give them a heads up in school, or gives them an advantage in school when they get to kindergarten.
And they like to emulate mom and dad a lot, too. So if they see mom and dad reading, or mom and dad's reading to them, then they'll want to pick that up as well.
Correct. And in order to help create the interest in the summer reading club, we have a lot of programs that are going to go along with it this summer. So, for instance, on June 9th at 1:30 p.m. at the Community Center in Mount Sterling, the Columbus Zoo is visiting with some animals. And they're not limiting the attendance, so we don't have to have anyone sign up this year like we have had in the past. On June 16th at 6:30 p.m., we have Bradley T. Lepper from the Ohio Historical Society. He's the archaeologist who's going to do a presentation on the Great Hopewell Road, Ohio's ancient superhighway. A lot of people don't realize that the Newark earth mounds earthworks are connected all the way down to Fort Ancient. It was actually just one whole connected complex. On June 23rd, for the first time, we're having the Columbus Children's Theater come down at 10:30 a.m. at the Community Center in order to do a live performance of Sleeping Beauty. So we're excited about this because this is the first time for us to be able to get them in here. On June 25th, we're having a program, The Women Detective in Popular Culture. Linda Mezejewski, a professor from Ohio State University, is going to talk about the roles of women in detective fiction and on television. So it should be kind of interesting. A little more academic. It's replacing our June book club.
Gotcha.
So we're doing something a little bit different, trying to get people interested in different authors. Then, of course, you just talked to the Timmons brothers on a previous show, and they are going to be doing their annual rock and roll show the weekend of June 27th at 1 p.m. at the Community Center. We always have great attendance for that.
And that's a part of the Freedom Ring Festival, and the library is always a big part of that festival.
Yes, and the big activity that weekend, for those who don't know, is at the Community Center puts on the laser light show, and they've got a lot of other events going on too throughout the day. And it's a great time for the family, and it's distinctly different from the fireworks that we have here in Washington Courthouse over the July 4th weekend, because they complement one another. It's just different, and it's a way to go out and celebrate our country. And
my 7-year-old granddaughter says the laser light show is, and I quote, way cooler than fireworks. So,
I feel the same about both of them. They're uniquely different, and it's worth the time.
And I'm so glad that you're having it on the 27th, that weekend there, because then we can see both. We can go to Mount Sterling, see the laser show, and then when the fireworks happen in Washington Courthouse on the 3rd, you can see those too.
And that's one of the reasons, we don't want to compete with a lot of other events that are going on over July 4th. So. And we're still going to continue our preschool story time too. It's at 10:30 on Mondays. It's going to be through June. We usually stop at the end of June for the summer break because of July 4th, and then the Madison County Fair, and then school starts again. So if you haven't had a chance to bring your kids out during the school year, maybe you could attend at least the 5 Mondays in June that we're going to have story time.
So now, if anyone has any questions, Chris, about any of these events or anything going on at the Mount Sterling Library, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, there's one of two ways that you can find out information. First, you can go to our website at www.mountsterlingpubliclibrary.org, or you can call the library at 740-869-2430. And I've talked with you before that the Washington Courthouse cards are good at the Mount Sterling Library. Items checked out there can be returned to Washington Courthouse. You can check out at Washington Courthouse and return your items to Mount Sterling. It's a real nice cooperative agreement that we have, and so it's a great way of just visiting at the library and seeing the tradition, because both towns have a library that's over 100 years old.
Yeah, it's been here for a long time. Big part of Fayette County's life, big part of the people in Mount Sterling and Madison County's life, too, is the public library. I think that's why it has gone on for as many years as it has. It's used handily by a lot of people.
And I had the unique opportunity that I was able to be part of the planning and at the 100th anniversary of the Washington Courthouse Library. And I dressed as Andrew Carnegie that time and gave a speech on the library steps. And then when they hired me here, they said, "Oh, by the way, we're having a centennial celebration." I go, "Oh, no."
So when you dressed as Andrew Carnegie, did you get his money as well?
No.
Damn, I didn't figure it.
No, we don't make that kind of money in libraries. But,
I guess not. No.
We do it for the love of libraries, so it's a nice job in that respect.
Yes, it is. Now, anything else you have for our listeners?
We have 2 new services on the Mount Sterling Public Library's website. We have downloadable magazines. You do have to have a Mount Sterling card for this service, as well as the next one I'm going to tell you about. We have approximately 50 downloadable magazines, anything from Cosmo, so you can take your tests, to National Geographic. They're interactive with the web. You can download them for your tablet. You can read them in a web browser, actually download them and take you to places that you don't have web access. And it's free with your library card. We also have IndieFlix, which works like Netflix. You do have to have the internet for this. You create an account, and they have independent films available for streaming, and it works just like Netflix. The movies have public performance rights, so if there's schools or churches that find a documentary, for instance, that they want to show, they can do that legally. So it's a real nice service. All the movies come from independent film festivals, like the Cannes Film Festival, or the one I did not know about, Columbus or Cincinnati or Cleveland also have film festivals. And if they show a movie there, it gets loaded into the database. So it's a real nice service and free to use with your library card.
Always expanding, aren't you? You're always expanding the people's minds there in Mount Sterling with what they can get a hold of. That's going to be really cool if you can get the independent films. I mean, it's easy to get a hold of a major Hollywood film. You can just go to Netflix, or you can go to and rent it or buy it or whatever. But the independent
or check it out at your library.
Or check it out at your library. That's right. But the independent films are hard ones to get a hold of.
Yeah. The nice thing about this program is if it reaches a lot of independent films and material that we wouldn't be able to afford otherwise. We pay like $500 for the service for a year for as many people to use it that want. There's over 6,000 films and documentaries, so it really expands the library, but in an affordable way, and that's how a small public library like we are able to afford it, and it was paid for by a donation. The other thing I want to mention is that on the second floor of the library is the Mount Sterling Museum, Community Museum. It's open Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Monday and Wednesday from 10 to 2, and Fridays 9 to 1 throughout the summer and fall. And it really has a lot of neat things. In fact, the display cases came from Greg's department store here in Washington Courthouse.
I remember Greg's.
There's a whole wall of display cases that they used to use. So there's a lot of connections here between Mount Sterling and Washington Courthouse, and we're excited that we can share so much with people. And the library has Mount Sterling Library has territory in Fayette County, Madison County, and Franklin County. So we reach out to a lot of different communities.
My guest today on Fayette Focus from the Mount Sterling Library, I thank him for coming in. A busy guy, Chris Siscoe. Chris, thank you very much.
Thank you for the time. Have a great day.